There was a night no scripture ever recorded, a night when the wind itself seemed to hold its breath. In a room lit only by oil lamps, far from the ears of those who would later rewrite history, a question was asked that would be buried for 2,000 years. One of the disciples leaned forward and whispered, "Master, why do we feel like strangers in this world? Why does something inside us ache for a home we cannot remember?" What came next was never meant to be forgotten, but it was. You are watching this right now because that same ache lives inside you. That quiet knowing that something is missing. That strange sense that the life you are living is not the life you were meant to live. You have carried this feeling for years, maybe decades, and no one around you seems to understand. They tell you to be grateful. They tell you to fit in. They tell you to stop searching, but you cannot stop. Because deep in your bones, you know there is something more. This is not a flaw in you. This is not anxiety. This is not depression dressed in spiritual clothing. What you are feeling is the echo of a memory that was stolen from you before you even took your first breath in this body. A memory so powerful, so liberating, that an entire system was designed to make sure you never recovered it. The ancient Gnostics called this system the Archons, and they warned us that these rulers of the lower realms do not control humanity through chains or prisons. They control through something far more insidious. They control through implantation. Through a false memory that sits so deep in your subconscious, you believe it is your own thought, your own conclusion, your own truth. Tonight, you will learn what that false memory is. You will understand how it was placed inside you, and most importantly, you will receive the exact method to erase it. This is not theory. This is not philosophy for the sake of philosophy. This is the key that was hidden from you, and the fact that you are here, right now, hearing these words, tells me one thing. You are ready to remember. The Gnostic texts that survived the flames speak of a cosmic tragedy, not the fall of man as religion taught you, but the fall of divine sparks into a realm that was never meant to hold them. According to the Nag Hammadi scriptures discovered in 1945, there exists a true source beyond all creation. The Gnostics called this source the monad, pure consciousness, undivided light, the original home of every awakened soul. But between the monad and this material world, something went wrong. A lesser being emerged, a creator who mistook himself for God. The texts call him the demiurge, and in his ignorance, he fashioned this physical realm as a closed system, a loop, a prison disguised as paradise. He did not create life, he copied it. He took the divine sparks that fell from the true source and trapped them inside bodies of flesh, inside cycles of birth and death, inside a game that never ends. Yet the demiurge knew something. He knew that these sparks, these fragments of the monad, carried within them the memory of home. And if they ever remembered, they would leave. They would rise. They would shatter the very walls of his creation. So he appointed rulers to guard the gates. The Gnostics called them Archons. You need to understand what the Archons actually are. They are not demons in the way religion describes. They are not monsters with horns and fire. The Gospel of Philip describes them as forces that feed on specific energies: fear, shame, guilt, confusion. They do not want to destroy you because a destroyed soul is useless to them. They want to keep you alive, keep you cycling, keep you generating the emotional frequencies they require to survive. But here is where it becomes personal. The Archons discovered very early that external control has limits. You can build walls around a prisoner, but if the prisoner remembers freedom, those walls mean nothing. The memory of who you truly are is more dangerous to their system than any rebellion you could ever stage. So they developed a different method. Instead of controlling you from the outside, they planted something inside. A thought, a belief, a memory that feels so real, so organic, so completely yours that you would never think to question it. This is the false memory, and every chosen one carries it. Now I need you to listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is the mechanism that has kept you small, kept you struggling, kept you believing that awakening is always somewhere in the future. The false memory is not a single image or a specific recollection. It is deeper than that. It is a fundamental conclusion about yourself that was installed before your conscious mind could resist it. The false memory is this: you are not enough. You are incomplete. You are broken and must be fixed before you can access your true power. Feel how familiar that is. Feel how that belief has followed you through every stage of your life. When you were a child, it told you that you were different in a bad way. When you were a teenager, it told you that something was wrong with you. When you became an adult, it disguised itself as motivation, as self-improvement, as the endless pursuit of becoming better, because who you are right now could never be enough. This is not your thought. This was never your conclusion. This is the implant. The Archons placed this memory into the collective field of human consciousness so long ago that it now feels like a natural part of being human. Every system on this planet reinforces it. Education tells you that you must earn your worth through grades and achievements. Religion tells you that you were born in sin and must spend your life seeking forgiveness. The economy tells you that your value is measured by what you produce and consume. Even spirituality, the very path meant to free you, has been infected. It tells you that you must meditate
for decades, study for lifetimes, purify endlessly before you can touch the divine. But the Gnostics taught something radically different. The Gospel of Thomas contains a saying that was deliberately excluded from the Bible. It reads, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." Read that again in your mind. What is within you will save you. Not what you add, not what you achieve, not what you become after years of fixing yourself. What is already within you. This is the truth the false memory was designed to hide. You are not broken. You have never been broken. The divine spark inside you is not damaged or diminished. It is complete. It is whole. It is waiting for one thing only: recognition. The Archons knew that if you ever stopped trying to fix yourself and simply recognized what you already are, their entire system would collapse. The energy you spend on self-doubt, on shame, on the endless pursuit of worthiness, that is the energy they harvest. That is the frequency that feeds the prison. The moment you stop generating it, you become invisible to them. You become free. But how do you stop something that feels so deeply true? How do you erase a memory that has been part of you since before you can remember? This is where the ancient teachings become practical, because the Gnostics did not just diagnose the problem, they left instructions. The process begins with recognition, not intellectual understanding, but visceral recognition. You must catch the false memory in the act. You must notice when the thought arises, when the feeling of inadequacy surfaces, when the voice inside says you are not ready, you are not worthy, you are not enough. And in that moment, instead of believing it, instead of following it down the familiar spiral, you must see it for what it is: an implant, a foreign object, a thought that was never yours. This alone begins to break its power, because the false memory depends on one thing to survive: your identification with it. As long as you believe it is your thought, your conclusion, your truth, it has full access to your energy. The moment you separate from it, The moment you observe it as something that was placed inside you, you begin to starve it. But recognition is only the first step. The second step is replacement. Not with another thought, not with positive affirmations layered over the wound, but with the original memory, the true memory, the one that existed before the implant was installed. The true memory is not something you need to create, it is something you need to uncover. It already exists within you, buried beneath layers of conditioning, beneath the static noise of the false identity, beneath the endless chatter of a mind trained to seek rather than recognize. The Gnostics described this original memory as the knowing of your divine origin. Not a belief in it, not a
hope for it. A direct, unmediated knowing that you are a fragment of the monad, a spark of the infinite source, temporarily experiencing limitation, but never truly bound by it. This knowing was your first experience of existence. Before you entered this body, before the veil descended, before the Archons installed their program, you knew exactly what you were. You knew your power. You knew your purpose. You knew that this realm was a place you were passing through, not a place you belonged to. That memory is still inside you. It has never been erased. It has only been covered. The false memory acts like a filter. Every time you begin to sense your true nature, every time a glimpse of your original power surfaces, the implant activates. It tells you that what you are feeling is arrogance. It tells you that claiming your divinity is dangerous or delusional. It tells you to stay small, stay humble, stay incomplete. This is not wisdom. This is programming. So how do you access the true memory? How do you reach beneath the implant and touch what was always there? The ancients left us a method. It appears in various forms across the Gnostic scriptures, but the essence remains the same. It is a process of inner declaration, not prayer to an external God, not petition to a higher power outside yourself, but a direct statement of recognition, spoken from the part of you that remembers. The technique involves 3 elements: stillness, recognition, and declaration. First, stillness. The false memory gains its power from mental noise. When your mind is constantly active, constantly seeking, constantly analyzing, you remain on the surface where the implant operates. To access the deeper layer, you must create space. This does not require hours of meditation. It does not require perfect silence. It requires only a pause. A moment where you step back from the stream of thought and observe rather than participate. Find a space where you will not be disturbed. Sit or lie in a position that allows your body to relax completely. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow breaths, each one deeper than the last. With each exhale, feel your awareness sinking beneath the surface of your thoughts. You are not trying to stop thinking. You are simply allowing the thoughts to continue without your attention. They will fade on their own. What remains when they quiet is the field of awareness itself. Pure, still, uncontaminated. Second, recognition. In this stillness, you will begin to sense something that is hard to describe but impossible to mistake. A presence, a warmth, a feeling of vastness that has no edges. This is you, not your name, not your history, not your personality. The you that existed before all of that was layered on top. The you that will continue after this body returns to dust. In this space, bring your attention to the false memory. See it as an object, a dark stone sitting in the center of your chest, a weight that you have carried so long you forgot. It was there. Look at it without fear. It has no power here. In the stillness, separated from the noise that feeds it, it is just a thing, an old program, a piece of code that no longer serves you. And now, the third element, declaration. This is where the Gnostic teachings become radically practical.
The ancients understood that consciousness responds to declaration, not to wishing, not to hoping, not to asking. When you declare something from the seat of your true awareness, you are not requesting a change. You are commanding reality to reorganize itself around the truth. The declaration is simple. It does not need to be complex because truth is never complex. Complexity is the signature of the false system. Truth is always direct. Place your awareness on the false memory, that sense of being incomplete, that belief that you are not enough. And from the stillness, from the depth of the presence you have uncovered, speak these words either aloud or in the silence of your mind. I see what you are. You are not mine. You were placed inside me to keep me from my power. I do not reject you with fear. I release you with recognition. I am not incomplete. I have never been incomplete. I am a spark of the infinite source, whole and undivided, and I remember. Feel what happens when you speak those words with genuine recognition. Feel the false memory begin to loosen. It may not dissolve instantly. It has been part of your operating system for as long as you can remember. But each time you perform this practice, you weaken its hold. Each declaration is a blade that cuts another thread. Eventually, there will be nothing left to hold it in place. But I must warn you about something. The system does not release its prisoners without resistance. In the hours and days after you begin this work, you may notice increased mental noise. You may experience sudden doubts, unexpected fears, thoughts that tell you this is foolish or dangerous or will not work. You may find yourself wanting to abandon the practice and return to the familiar comfort of seeking. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. This is a sign that you are doing something right. The Archons do not fight what does not threaten them. The resistance you experience is confirmation that you have touched something real. When the resistance comes, do not engage it. Do not argue with the doubts. Do not try to convince yourself that the practice is working. Simply return to the stillness. Return to the recognition. Return to the declaration. The false memory has had a lifetime of reinforcement. It will not surrender after a single session, but it will surrender because it is not real, and you are. The Gnostic master Valentinus taught that liberation is not achieved through escape, but through recognition. You do not leave the prison by finding an exit. You leave the prison by realizing you were never actually imprisoned. The walls were made of belief. The chains were made of false
Memory. The moment you see them for what they are, they lose all substance. This is what the Archons feared most. Not that you would rebel, not that you would fight, but that you would simply see. Because once you see, their power ends. Not gradually, completely. In the coming days, as you practice this technique, you will notice subtle shifts. The relentless pressure to become something other than what you are will begin to fade. The desperate seeking that has defined your spiritual journey will transform into quiet recognition. You will stop asking when you will finally be ready and realize that you have always been ready. The readiness was hidden, not absent. Some who watch this will feel a warmth in their chest right now, a sense of expansion, a strange lightness that seems to have no cause. If you are feeling this, it is not imagination. It is the first layer of the false memory beginning to dissolve. The work has already begun. Your only task now is to continue. What you have received tonight is not new information. It is ancient recognition wrapped in words you could finally hear. The Gnostics preserved this teaching through centuries of persecution, through the burning of libraries, through the systematic erasure of everything that threatened the control system. They hid it in texts that were buried in the Egyptian desert for almost 2,000 years, and now, in this moment, it has reached you. This is not coincidence. The same intelligence that scattered these truths across time is the same intelligence that brought you to this video.
You were not randomly browsing. You were not killing time. Something deeper was navigating. Something that remembers even when your conscious mind forgets. That something led you here because you are ready for what comes next. The false memory told you that awakening is a destination you have not yet reached. That enlightenment belongs to others, to masters in distant monasteries, to saints who lived centuries ago. But the truth is far more immediate. Awakening is not a place you arrive at. It is a recognition that happens in a single moment, and that moment can be now. You have the technique. You understand the mechanism. You know what was planted inside you, and you know how to release it. The only question that remains is whether you will use what you have been given. Tonight, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect. Tonight, when the energy of this recognition is still alive in your field. Find your stillness. Locate the false memory. Speak the declaration. And watch what happens when you stop believing the lie that kept you small. I want you to do something before you leave. Drop into the comments and write these 3 words. I am whole. Not because I told you to, but because when you write those words, you are casting a vote for your own liberation. You are joining a frequency that the Archons cannot touch, and you are signaling to others who carry the same spark that they are not alone.
Share this with the one person in your life who has always felt like a stranger in this world. They need to hear this. And somewhere inside, you already know who they are. You are not becoming whole. You are remembering that you always were. And that changes everything.